Good morning. As we approach Christmas, I love studying the different characters that are found in the Christmas story. One of the characters that we study in the Christmas story that I think gets a bad rap, good one, is that of the innkeeper. Many people see him and portray him as being some angry man that didn't want to be bothered by Joseph or Mary. But I really don't see that. I believe because he gave them a place in the stable, he did what he could. We can't forget it was time that everyone was being taxed. They had to go to their own city, and that when Mary and Joseph got there, they obviously were probably moving a little bit slower than other people in her present condition. So there wasn't any rooms, and it wasn't like there was a Holiday Inn on every corner. So he did what he could. Having said that, I think it's important that we stop and study some different characters as we approach this Christmas time, and there's a very important lesson here. And this lesson starts all the way back in 2 Samuel in chapter number 19. In 2 Samuel, we hear of and read of the story of when Absalom rebelled against his father. He stole the hearts of the people, he took over the kingdom, David had to leave. And when David left because of his son, he wept, and of course we know what happens. Absalom would be killed in battle, and David would weep for his son, all a result of sin. But as David was leaving Jerusalem, the Bible says that a man named Shimei came upon him, and he started throwing rocks at him, and cursing at him, and David leaves. And his generals wanted to kill this man, but David said no. Well, on the way back, on the way there, when he finally leaves Jerusalem and flees, he meets a man, and this man's name is Barzillai. Barzillai takes care of David. You can read this in 2 Samuel chapter 17. He gives his David and all of his men beds to sleep in, basins to wash in, food to eat. Well, after Absalom is killed in battle, David's returning back. Of course, Shimei comes out to meet him, and he falls on his face asking forgiveness, and he'll eventually get his due, but David shows him mercy. But as he goes back, he gets to the place where the Jordan River to go back into Jerusalem. We read in verse number 15 of 2 Samuel chapter number 19, it says, "So the king returned and came to Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal to go to meet the king, to conduct the king over Jordan." So he gets the Jordan River, and it's time for him to go over. He looks over, and you can read these and all this in verses 31 to 40, but for time's sake, I'll just tell you the story. But King David looks over at Barzillai and says, "Come home with me. You are so good to me, Barzillai. I want to take care of you. I'll give you anything that I can. I just want to take care of you and show you my thanks for taking care of me and my men." Well, Barzillai looks at him and says, "King, I really appreciate it." But Barzillai said, "I'm 80 years old. My thoughts are leaving me," he says. "I can't taste anything. I can't, I have no sense of taste. If good thing it wasn't in 2020, right? He said, I can't hardly hear anymore. I would just be a burden to you. I'd rather go home. The time of my death is coming." He said, "So I'm going to go home and be buried with my parents." But then Barzillai looks at the king and says, "But I do have a son. I do have a son. And whatever you'd want to do for me, do for him. He can go. He'll serve you, and you can bless him however you want to bless him." And Barzillai kisses David, and they embrace, and they depart. And his son, Barzillai's son, goes with him. In verses 31 in this chapter, it says there, you get down there and you find the son's name. In verse number 40, the king went on to Gilgal, and Chimham went with him. Chimham. This was the son of Barzillai. This is the one that he's going to take care of. We'll close today in just saying this, that one of the great joys that a father can participate in is seeing his children happy and taken care of. Barzillai was no different. He knew that his life was about to end, and he knew he didn't have many years left, but he wanted more than anything for his son to be blessed. And so he said, please take my son. Do with him as you please. And there was a surrendering there. May I encourage every parent today, give your children to the King of Kings. Let the King of Kings show forth his mercy on their life. There's no better place to be than under the protection and the shadow of the King. Oh, that my children would walk with the King. What a blessing. We'll continue this story tomorrow.